Hello, my name is Amanda Dwyer, and welcome to my podcast. Here is my student ID. I would like to preface this by saying I do have COVID, so if I have to stop to cough or take a sip of water, I am so sorry. The kids bring everything home from school, so I do apologize. In my podcast today, I'm going to be talking about our School of Philosophy essay assignment. We were asked to dive into the ideas and different philosophies presented in the Midnight Library and reflect on the two philosophies of our choosing that support our idea of what it means to live a good life. After submitting our first draft, then we were asked to revise using feedback from our professor and add outside research to further support our thesis. I personally did not know a lot about philosophy before this assignment, so I was extremely grateful for the philosophy cheat sheet that Professor Baker provided for us. My main goal when initially researching was to use the book for textual examples of the philosophies to see if I could make a personal connection. I knew that if I felt an emotional response, that I would be able to reflect more in depth, so it would be easier to write my essay. I ended up choosing philosophies from Schopenhauer and Sartre. After my first submission, I used the GTC library database to find a journal entry on, I think I'm butchering this, it's Sartre. I'm so sorry, I had to look up the pronunciation of that. Sartre, and an encyclopedia entry on Schopenhauer as my outside research to help enrich my essay. I chose these because they were peer-reviewed and non-biased, which gives them credibility. I then worked the information from those sources into my essay, which I will be reading to you now. The Dwyer School of Philosophy. Money, power, fame, those would be the key elements to living a good life for some. For me, a good life is beyond the scope of material things we could lose in the blink of an eye, focusing more on our inalienable ideals. A good life stems from our qualities on the inside that allow us to navigate life's challenges seamlessly, with core values like compassion and perseverance at the forefront. Holding firm to our true selves and knowing that we are kind, compassionate, determined individuals who can uplift others while looking at the future with hope makes life worth living. Schopenhauer's philosophy on exuding compassion and Sartre's philosophy on persevering through despair are two ideologies from the Midnight Library that support my idea of what it means to live a good life. Schopenhauer's philosophy that compassion is the backbone of society means that living a good life revolves around mutual kindness and uplifting one another. We can see this exchange of revolving kindness in the relationship formed by Nora and Miss Elm in the physical library, and later returned by Nora and Miss Elm's last years of life. While Nora is visiting the nursing home, Miss Elm reveals that she has a plethora of life regrets, which leads Nora to express her kindness by saying, "Well, you were kind to me, Miss Louise. When I had a hard time at school, you always knew what to say." Miss Elm's compassion and kindness were a beacon of light for Nora and the sole reason she could navigate the library and choose to live. Schopenhauer's idea of exuding compassion is one component that makes a good life rather than material objects. Robert Wick's synopsis of Schopenhauer's direct work includes the belief system of focusing on our morality over material things by employing empathy, taking an oath to do no harm to others, and going out of our way to alleviate the hardships of mankind. This school of thought further emphasizes that compassion and kindness are the basis of a good life. Sartre's theory of adapting to life's disappointments instead of abandoning hope and drowning in our sorrows will help us overcome our obstacles, ensuring we live a good life. In the Midnight Library, we see Sartre's theory come to life in Nora's choice to overdose and then live. By choosing to overcome, this allows her to mend the relationship with her brother and regain clarity about her friendship with Izzy. After Nora wakes up in the hospital and reconnects with the people she thought she lost, she shares her newfound perception by stating, "Life sometimes gives you a whole new perspective by waiting around long enough for you to see it." By saying that, Nora solidifies that living a good life is finding the strength to persevere through life's battles in the hope for a brighter future. In Sartre's words, the pursuit of seeing a life event to the end leads to an open door of endless possibilities which we can choose to follow, leading to better outcomes. Adapting to this mindset of enduring unsavory situations ensures the hope of brighter possibilities. In my own life, the selflessness of others coupled with finding the will to see a better future has made for a good life. When I was going through postpartum depression, my friends conducted a meal train and would make time to help me clean. Without their compassion, I may not have made it through the dark inner workings of my mind to see how fulfilling my life is today, just as Nora may not have made it without Mr. Banerjee helping to save her life. When Nora came home from the hospital and thanked Mr. Banerjee, she says, his eyes were full of kindness and concern, and Nora remembered what it was like to care and be cared for. By saying this, it aligns with Schopenhauer's philosophy of kindness being the backbone of morality. Sometimes we save people with kindness without even realizing it, but we also must choose to save ourselves by trekking through life's obstacles day by day while looking towards the horizon. Instead of dwelling on the mistakes I made when I was in active addiction, I chose to turn my experience into the motivation I needed to go back to college to become an addiction counselor to help others. At the end of the Midnight Library, Nora and Miss Elm have an exchange about life while playing a game of chess. In their conversation, it is presented that life is like a game of chess, always thinking ahead about what the next move should be. The juxtaposition painted of the uncertainty of life being compared to chess and having to constantly adapt to plan the next move towards victory shows that Sartre's theory of perseverance. Looking towards a brighter future helped me find the self-motivation to help fight my way through the toughest battle I've ever faced, and because of that, I am living a good life. Schopenhauer and Sartre help us conclude that living a good life is achieved by exchanging compassion amongst our society and finding the silver lining in our I'm so sorry. And finding the silver lining in our tumultuous lives instead of abandoning hope. Both Nora and I have both used these philosophies in hopes of living a good life. One thing in life is for certain, and that is the fact that no life is perfect, no matter how it may look on the outside. We will face many challenges and come to many forks in the road that we can either choose to let destroy us or we can overcome and adapt. Holding true to our character is something that life cannot take away from us, no matter what unpredictability we may face. And being able to persevere through any curveball makes a good life. Just as Nora was able to hold on to the kindness of people surrounding her to choose to live, we must do the same and return the goodwill shown to us. If we treat people how we want to be treated and look towards the future for hope, we can live the best versions of our lives and be unstoppable. Thank you so much for listening to my essay. I can honestly say that creating this school of philosophy for myself and researching, reflecting, and putting all of my ideas and support together has been a journey. The two philosophies I chose have already impacted my life and given me a different mindset of how I tackle obstacles. If there's anything I would like you to take away from this podcast, it would be to keep going, no matter how turbulent life can get, and make sure you're treating everyone around you with kindness and respect. Life is hard, that's just a fact. We all go through different seasons, some being better than others, but our ability to persevere through disappointment and despair makes it so beautiful when we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Giving up prematurely just blocks us from the experiences that makes life worth living. Oftentimes, we focus on our own misery without thinking about what others around us are going through, and fail to realize how the smallest acts of compassion can impact someone so greatly and change their lives. There's enough hate in the world, so broadcast kindness and compassion, and hopefully people will do the same for you. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day.